And then behind that came his sister, and he brought the whole family in, and they all sat there, and you could see the body language on all of them like this. You know, they didn't want to be there. Anyway, they all joined. He became a group leader in record time. And then he went, now can I have my financial game plan done? And Bob said, yes. Now, that's an extreme kind of situation. But what I am saying is learn from that as a message that what you're trying to build is you're trying to build something that's moving. Yeah. And in order for it to get moving, you need to get people bringing people. When you've got people bringing people, you have got a base shop. When you've got nobody bringing anyone, you haven't got a base shop. You know, you might want to call it a base shop, but it's basically what you've got is a list. You can go onto your back office and look, and you can go, wow, I've got 100 people on there, or 50 people, or 200 people. It's a list. It's not 200 people. It's a list of names. That's all it is. So you've got to get that movement going. And this is the first step that we're talking about here, because there's no point having these training sessions for the next however many weeks. You know, if all we're going to do is learn something, right? Yeah. This business is about doing something, and that's where you've got to step up now. You've got to start doing stuff in order to get stuff. Yeah, not learning stuff to get stuff, doing stuff to get stuff. So good. Any more kind of good news from what you learned from Alan last week?
I think I was about to speak when IT spoke. So.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. There was a very funny incident yesterday at home at 8:30 p.m. when one of the ladies in my team said, "Oh, Tom, I've got somebody that I want you to do a follow-up interview for." So last night at 8:30 p.m., we went on Zoom. When the guy came, the guy was in a headset, very beautiful home, an Indian guy.
Yeah.
And I started the conversations with them. How did they know each other? They were talking. The first question I asked the guy was, what did he like best about the BOM?
Very good.
He scratched his head and said, I didn't listen. I didn't watch it.
All right.
So in that instance, I just told myself, damn, what do I do? He's not listening to the boom. Right. So what I did quickly was that I asked my team member, how much more he knew about the guy. And he said, oh, he's already a client.
Okay. Yeah.
So I just pick it up from there because he has seen what we do. So I picked the conversation from that point onwards. And I quickly had to talk about how we get trained, how to get paid straight away based on what he has seen. And lo and behold, the guy signed up last night. I mean, if it had been some time back, I would have said that, oh, let's arrange a time for this guy to go and watch the bomb. And we might never see him again.
Exactly.
But the confidence was that, wow, let's switch the gear. Let's change the scenario. He's not watched it. Okay. I asked the lady, she's already a client. Let me pick it up from there and just try and frame something out of what he has seen through being a client and pick it up from there. And he signed on. And he's going to say that he's got a massive people in the Indian community that he wants to target. So it's good news. Yeah. So.
Well done, Tom. That is awesome and exactly the right thing to do. You know, I think that one of the toughest things that I had when I joined the industry, the business, not the industry, 16 years ago, because I'd been in the industry at that point for already 16 years, I found myself in a situation where I was puritanical with process. Whereas like, nope, you got to go this, you got to do this, you got to do this. And I remember Bob saying, look, this is about herding cats, mate. This is all over the place. You know, if the guy's hot to trot, get him onto business. You can fill in the gaps later. And to be honest, if he's seen the kitchen table presentation, he's seen 80% of the business overview anyway.
Yeah.
Did exactly the right thing. A little bit of a tip with you within the for the Indian community is as quickly as possible, get him licensed and trained and get him doing it in his own market. Yeah. When you're in a different culture to your own, get in and get out as quickly as possible as long as he's got the skills and the desire, which you'll find out very quickly, and particularly if you can help him get 3 or 4 people on his team, find someone to actually kind of take over it. So, it's no news to any of you that a big part of my business is the Philippine community. Well, I quickly learned within that community, they like dealing with their own kind. They like dealing with their own people, and they have a culture that they all understand and get on with. And I quickly got somebody trained, and then quickly got back out and let them get on with it. So as long as he's an independent kind of character, get him licensed as quickly as possible and get him moving. Teach him to recruit as quickly as possible. The rest is easy. So yeah, well, that's awesome news, Thomas. Well done.
Thank you.
Very good.
But I didn't really mention about the Indian community, and what you're saying is very true.
Yeah.
I mean, I sometimes do KTP, the scoop in my native language.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I realized that it's very different. I mean, Kevin O'Malley, we've had discussions on that some time back.
Yeah.
Sometimes crossing cultures sometimes becomes a problem. So thanks for that tip as well. So he's going to go within his market and just deal with the people that he's got in that market.
And remember what we're trying to achieve here. We're trying to achieve teams. We're trying to build teams. So if you can get him or someone that he introduces you to, building a team, and you step back and become more of a coach than someone who does all the financial game plans, and someone who does, all the training, and someone you're trying to develop someone to kind of take responsibility for all of the things that we have to do. And it's a big deal. Too many people, kind of see a community and go, right, I'm going to go in there and do 10, 20 financial game plans. That'll do me. But that's the wrong mindset. The mindset is to get into a community and then get back out and let them then build it themselves. Mm-hmm. Now you've got a potentially a hierarchy developing within your hierarchy. Good. Anybody else? Was there someone else that I thought there was someone that I heard.
Yeah, kudos to Bobby, who last week, from what Alan had said, was for a real practical point about the league table, said that we would do that. So yeah, starting Friday up until the 10th of May, so 90 days, we're doing a league table. So we've already started that this last weekend. So good, just a little practical point. So.
Okay. And why have you put an end date on it?
Because I just thought 90 days, we say, is a good, at the end of the day, I think it's something that we can do ourselves too. And hopefully he can then lead his team into doing the same thing as well. So, yeah, I think it's a good amount of time to get that routine happening, form a habit.
Yeah, very good. One of the things that we did talk about last week is to when you put a league table in, the more people that are involved and contributing that, the better. Mm. So within your base shop, if you've got it, if you start it, kind of do it forever. And because what happens is initially only 1 or 2 people will do it. Yeah. Then what happens after a couple of weeks, other people start joining in. But the big key is when new people come in and they see that as the norm, they all then go, oh, right, well, I'm going to contribute to this. Mm. Now you get a culture of new people keeping adding to it. And now all of a sudden, the thing will start to move. And you'll find that on day one, when someone gets their name posted into your group, they see that league table and now, being updated because people are copying and pasting and adding their own. They'll start asking you, they'll start saying, well, what do I have to do to get on this league table? I don't want to be missed out. I want to start competing. So it's kind of like a tool that once you start, do it for the rest of your career within your base shop.
That's good.
Yeah, I wouldn't put an end date on it.
Yeah, I think it's because the one that Bobby and I are doing was one that I guess Roger started, which was I think one that you did. Yeah. So it's more than just yeses. So it's got how many scoops a book, carrybacks, IBAs. So it's a little bit, more in depth. But yeah, I totally hear what you're saying. We'll get the yes one going as well. That'd be good.
Yeah, very good. Excellent. Well, and one more maybe. Anybody else got anything they'd like to add from what we learned from Alan last week? Okay. All right.
I'll go then, sir.
All right. Fire away.
So good morning and good morning, everyone. From the last week, the takeaway was like, don't give a child a loaded gun and go back to the basic. So 2 of my new recruits, what I did was like, let's sit down, let's, take out your phone and we started doing like a STEAM list. So I've got about like 45 from 2 of them. So now we're working on it, sir. So, and I've told them your job is not to recruit, to expose, but to expose, and the system, will recruit for you. And then now I've asked them to like build a relationship and start doing like conversation, start contacting your old friends. That's what I've told them to do. So
that's great.
I'm working on it, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, it's all right. Which leads me in nicely to, what I wanted to kind of cover today. And that is,
before you move on.
Go on, Thomas.
Yeah, sorry. Yesterday, the guy that I met, we're talking about goals and dreams, right? And the guy said, I have no goals and I have no dreams.
Right.
Right. Okay. I mean, I'm just imagining if we had not had a meeting last week.
Yeah.
Right. I would have mentioned it, but I would have skipped it another time. But this time we had to sit down and find a goal.
Yeah.
And which was like kind of a surplus from last week's meeting. So we had to dig deep and just get a goal for that evening before we carried on.
Yeah.
And I believe that this was a result of what we did last time. Previously, I would have just said we'll find a goal as we move along. But this time we sat down together. I mean, I didn't really care if it took us an hour, but he managed to get a goal for his life. And I said, okay, if that is your goal, that is what the business will help you to achieve. So thank you very much for last week. And it's really helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, when you've got a goal, that Alan would talk about, he'd write it on a card. And I'd recommend you do that, Thomas, because as you start to recruit more people, you're going to forget what their goals and dreams are. So, and what I find the beauty of having a card of what their goal and dream is in front of you is that now all of a sudden, when you randomly speak to them or they text you, now bring that into the conversation. So things like, they might send you a text message saying, is there training on Saturday? And you text back and go, yes, there is. This will help you achieve getting this thing that you want for your wife. Yeah. So you're constantly putting that into the conversation and the messages you're speaking to them. You're constantly reminding them of what really fires them up. Another way of talking about, of explaining it is leverage. You've got leverage on their activity. Yeah. So going on from what Milan was talking about there with he's got 45 is it 45, Milan, you said 45 names?
That's correct, sir, from 2 of my regulars, sir.
Great. So next step now is to make sure that those names are you've steamed them, so you know who the most enthusiastic, ambitious, etc. are, and make sure they tell you how they know them. All right. So I'll give you an example. So I've got this lady I'm working at the moment with called Jean, and she sent, I think she's up to about 60 people. This is a lady that didn't know anybody. Now I've now got 60 names from her over the last 2 weeks. Okay, because what happened was, as I said, tell you what, let's just get 12, because mentally she was really struggling with 25. So she gave me 12, and I got them. I know if they're 5 how many stars they are. So I've got that listed. I've also got a little bit about them, and they're steamed, right? So she's told me here on these, on this person here, for example, who's got I've got a follow-up interview with today. He is good with people. I've seen him in conversation with groups of people, and you can tell he's a leader. He needs money. He's ambitious. I've previously mentioned the business to him, and he's shown some curiosity. And his wife knows someone that's in Flynnstars. So I've got all this rich data that when I called the guy, all of a sudden he, it was like I was speaking to him it wasn't a cold call, because I mentioned all those things in the conversation. So he said, yeah, I'll take a look. And he watched it, and we've got a follow-up interview booked in for later on today. So what happened there that most people don't see is that she was on a Zoom watching me make the phone call. Okay. She then got confidence from what I was saying to her people. Yeah. She even gave me one that said, this is a different one, where this person's ambitious, he's entrepreneurial, but he can be argumentative. Now that was quite funny, and I made a bit of a joke about it. I said, well, this one will be fun, let's call this one. And they weren't argumentative at all. In fact, they were quite polite, and it all went well. And then let's look at some of our other ones. This one previously watched the business overview, but time was an issue. So when I rang this particular person, I said, I understand you've seen our business before, and time, you didn't have much time. This was 6 months ago, and we were just wondering if your time is, kind of eased off and you've got more time to look at something. And she said, I was thinking about you guys about a month ago. Yeah, I would like to revisit it. So we've sent her, the 30-minute video, and we're going to follow her up, I think, on Wednesday. So the key isn't the results here I'm trying to get across. The key is she watched me make the phone calls for her. Make sense? She got more out of it than the results that we got. I mean, yeah, we'll get a couple of IBAs possibly, but then she went, wow, can I send you some more people to speak to? I thought you didn't have anybody. Well, I've just miraculously found, another 40 odd people. And there's so much in it when you follow the system that Alan has kind of evolved from what we used to do back in the day. He's turned it into a machine whereby he won't make phone calls unless the person who gave him the leads is there as well, because the value is compounded. So Milan, next step is to book a power hour where you're either together physically, Milan, or they're watching you on Zoom so they can hear you and see you making the phone calls. And then to start the duplication going, maybe even get a couple of other people on your team to sit in and watch. Because here's what happens when you do that. They then start sending you lists as well, because they see you getting yeses and see you booking scoops. And they're going, flipping heck, Milan's going to do this for me. Great, here we go. Here's my list. Now all of a sudden you'll get hundreds of people. I think I've got I have got somewhere in the region of about 300 names here on the lists that I've got. And there are emails I haven't even opened from other people that are starting to send me lists to do calls for them. So that's exciting, Milan. Those 45 names can quickly turn into hundreds and hundreds of names. And before you know it, you'll have more people to speak to than you can possibly cope with. Yeah, that's a great place to be in, because now you can start teaching someone else to follow what you're doing. Not everyone will do it because they won't have the guts or the courage, but get someone else to, and when you've got somebody on your team now that's watching you do that, and you're having a conversation with them, you say, look, watch what I do, because I want you to do what I'm doing in the next few weeks. And listen, yeah. Now you're duplicating yourself. Great job.
So,
be good to have you in South Africa. Why not?
can't wait, sir.
Yeah, good man. Okay, so there's one other thing I wanted to talk about with regards to the phone calls, okay? there's obviously making the call on what you say, and then there's the steam. Okay, now and there's the form. Sorry, there's the form and sign, which is what I was referring to. When you've got a list of people, you've got two pieces of tension, if you like, two ends of the piece of a string pulling on each other. One is, you know, as the more leads come in, you're going to get overwhelmed with the number of people you've got. So as the more top 25 lists start coming in, you're going to need to shorten the conversation, and and I want to give you a kind of tool to use that's quick and sharp, that dilutes a little bit the form and sign. However, you're delaying the form and sign to a second part. So first of all, remember what you're looking to do is you're looking to find someone who's hungry, got good circumstances, and has got a work ethic. They're the three things you're looking for. So yes, do the form and sign, spend the time it takes to get them to watch the business overview. Okay, but that becomes more difficult when you've got, you know, 50, 100, 200 people to call, which is going to happen to you. You're going to end up in that situation. So to filter out the people that you're looking for, you need to use something a little shorter to get through the numbers that you've got. So here's the kind of script that you use when you start getting large numbers of people. So let me see if I can get myself into zone here. So I'm going to use the name on here, Taiwo. Okay, so underneath Taiwo, they used to work together, hardworking and enthusiastic, and he's a 4-star guy. So I would say, hi, is that Taiwo? And because the first thing I'm looking for is for them to say yes on the phone. Is that Taiwo? That's usually going to be a yes. All right, so the Taiwo says yes. Well, my name's Steve Jenkins, and I've been asked to give you a call by Gene. I'm waiting for another yes to come out of his mouth. Oh, yes, that's great. Okay, well, the reason I'm calling is that when I was speaking to Jean the other day, I asked her who she knew was hardworking and enthusiastic. And she said, when she worked with you, that's what she observed. And I don't know if you're open to anything right now, but I'm looking for some people who would like to teach a financial education program, working part-time and receiving typically $1 to $2 grand a month for 1 or 2 nights a week. If you're open to anything right now, I'd love to send you a 30-minute video, which once you've watched, if you like all the contents, we can talk in more detail at a later date. Now, I obviously say it quicker than that. I slowed it down so you guys can take notes on it. But what I covered there is the 3 things that get people interested, which is curiosity, need, and ambition, and trust and friendships obviously covered as well. But I'm doing it quickly at lunchtime because most people at lunchtime haven't got 10, 15 minutes to chat. Have any of you noticed that before? Yeah. So I've got 300 people to call. I've got to get through them. I'm filtering out the ones that aren't going to be interested. And there's more of a higher turnover rate. Okay, do you know what I mean? You're not going to get as many, you get more yeses because they want to get you off the phone. You'll be sending them by WhatsApp the 30-minute video. And a large chunk of them don't actually watch the video, but that's okay because you can always follow up at a later date. And I always ask for permission at that. If you know if it doesn't kind of continue. All right. So any questions so far before I go on to the next step?
My question is, how do you deal with people who give you a lot of challenges in that particular scenario?
I move on, mate. I move on.
Just move on. Okay.
Yeah.
Even if you see the potential, you just move on.
To a degree, I'll try and give them an easy out by saying, so push it away, Tom, by saying something along the lines of, look, I can see you're busy right now, and maybe this is a case of right place, wrong time.
Okay.
Are you okay if I just send you a video to watch when you've got a free moment? And they'll say yes to get you off the phone. Okay. Try and think of it like this, okay? When you ring someone, it's a bit of a lottery. All right. It could, and the reason it's a random lottery is because they might have just had a row with a spouse. They might have be going through some tragedy right now. They might have, I mean, you could make a list of 50 things that would put them in a negative mindset, right? So when you call someone, you kind of go, this is why this is a volume business. It's not a, we try and manage each and every single situation, and the world doesn't work like that. Yeah, I'm one of those people that doesn't believe in luck, but there is an element of luck to this. What you're hoping for is that when you ring someone, they're in a good mood. Yeah, they've got good circumstances, i.e., they're not just about to get on the underground or get on an aeroplane. Yeah, you're hoping they've got a good attitude this morning and open to listen to something. You can't control that, can you? Would you agree, Tom?
Yeah. You
can't control that, and yet many of us get very kind of stressed out about, they're great, they should be listening, and hey, you can't control how people day is going and what's going on in their head. You have no idea you can't control them. The only thing you can control is the volume of people that you speak to. All right. So the point I'm making is the issue here is the number of people you speak to, not really what you say, because you can never say the wrong thing to the right person, and you can never say the right thing to the wrong person. Yeah. Someone got lucky once when they called me and got me in. The timing was right, because I was hacked off where I worked extremely. I'd have looked at anything, right? Just so happened that someone I used to work with called me. I joined, and then 3 people in the company came up to me and goes, man, I should have called you. I didn't know you were interested. The issue was they didn't call me. Yeah. Now they could have called me a year earlier and I'd have been fine, and that wouldn't have worked. All right. So do you see where there's the element of luck in? And I would encourage you, Thomas, try not to analyze people's reaction. Don't analyze whether they were a good person or not. Don't try to analyze whether you could have done it any better. Just make more calls. Just speak to more people and get lucky. It's that old phrase, isn't it? The harder you work, the luckier you get. So, so you're all vice presidents in the main, but there's a few of you I know that aren't, but most of you are. The big difference here is that, you know how to objection handle if you want to go down that road. You know how to handle people because of the sheer volume of people you've already called. The issue now is not trying to get better. The issue now is trying to get to speak to more people, because you're going to be able to handle what's thrown in front of you. But remember what you're looking for. You're looking for your Daryl Harper, your Ching de la Cruz and Arvin Burgos. Yeah. And the only way you're going to get that is by speaking to like hundreds of people. And usually the person you recruit, Tom, isn't the person, it's the person they introduce you to and the person they introduce you to. But yeah, I mean, there are things, and that's actually what I was trying to get to, is you get really good on the phone by doing lots of it. The best teacher you've got is yourself, and you'll start developing the things to say because you'll have done it hundreds of times. Does that help you? So I got a gardener at the front there doing my lawn. Deliberately doing it right in front of me. There's a whole garden there. Go and finish that bit. It's a good question though, because everyone else is thinking it, Tom. Everyone else is thinking it. And I spend my time, a lot of my time trying to, get people out of this mindset of focusing on the individual instead of focusing on the volume of people. Yeah, there's going to come that point when you speak to someone and their circumstances are going to be perfect. They're going to be hungry, hardworking people, and they're going to join your team, and you're going to go, wow, what did I do right there? Nothing. You just got lucky because you spoke to the right individual at the right time, and they've got all the ingredients of the cake. Yeah. So, and thank you for bringing that up, because everyone else is thinking the same thing, or most people are.
Steve?
Yeah.
Just a quick question about reading over what I've written from what you just said. 1 to 2K is probably a higher amount per month earned than I would typically pitch.
Yeah.
Typically probably go the 500 to 1,000.
Yeah.
Are you saying that we should begin to do 1 to 2K because by the time that we've got further down the line, if they join the business, they'll have forgotten that figure anyway?
No, definitely not. The 500 to 1,000 came from 44 years ago. Okay, it's higher now. I mean, I've got part-time people on my team making 1 to 2 grand a month. Yeah, that's 250 to 500 pounds a week. But Kevin might remember this in City, that we saw an old script that said 250 to 500 pound a month. I mean, work it out. Okay, if you've got someone who's a team leader and they're in a 5-star market, the average policy we do as a company now is £500. And you guys can get rid of this mindset now of, oh, it's different up north, because you've all got people on your team from down south. Okay, so let's blow that rubbish out of the window now. So let's say you've got a team leader that does let's say it's £1,000 worth of business in a 5-star market. As a team leader, that's 0.5. That's £500 times 0.75 is £375. Times that by 4, that's £1,500 a month if they do 1 a week. You comfortable with that, Alex?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 1 to 2 grand a month. Yeah. Because that's the real-ish, that's the real amount. If someone does 1 policy a week, and I've got bunches of those, and the company obviously has. So, yeah, I mean, 1 to 2 grand a month is fantastic money part-time for your average family, isn't it? That's life-changing money.
Yeah.
So it's a fantastic question, Alex, because everyone else is thinking it. So, any more questions on that script that I've gone through there? Did all of you get it okay? I should really type it up, shouldn't I? I'll get it. I'll send it to the group. So I'll write it out for you.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay. So now all of a sudden you've got the phone calls going. You've got, you start adding people to your power hour, listening to you do that, and that encourages them to open up more of the people that they know. Oh, very good. Someone's done the job for me there. Oh, thank you, Alex. Well done.
It might not be quite word for word.
Well, let's have a look. Isaac asked me to give you a call. The reason he asked me to give you a call is that when I asked who she knew who was hardworking, good with people, said they observed such traits in you. The reason for asking is that I'm looking for people who'd like to teach and educate productivity 1 to 2 grand a month. 1 to 2 years, I'd like to send you a 30-minute video by way of introduction. If you'd like its content, you can arrange a time to talk about further detail. Spot on. There you go. Save me a job. Okay, thanks, mate.
You're welcome.
So what you do then is you send them the video and send it via WhatsApp, assuming you can find them on WhatsApp, which is 99% of the time, because you can tell if they've opened and had a look right? You might not know if they've watched the video, but you know they've received it. And also the great thing about WhatsApp is when you communicate with them, you can tell if they've read your messages or not, and when they've read it. Okay, so at the end of this, there's one more piece to the script actually, and that is, I would say, are you free tomorrow between 12 and 2 so I can give you a follow-up call and give you enough time to watch the video? Okay, so if you can add that for me, Alex, that'd be great. So are you free tomorrow between 12 and 2 so I can give you a follow-up call? Now they're going to say yes, most of the time, I think, just to get you off the phone, okay? And there's a high drop-off rate with the people who, when you call the following day, they don't pick up, okay? But you know what? I don't mind that, because that filters out or filters in the hungry people. Now, you're not losing the people that you've just sent the video to, right? They're just on a slow burn. But the ones that are hungry make themselves known, okay? And when you do their IBA, there's very little objection. They're already they're already thinking, I've been praying for this to happen, and the good Lord has got Alex to call me at this particular point. All right. So you're now finding people that have filtered through a large volume of phone calls, and that's what you want. And I want to really hit home on that point. Yeah, do you all understand that? It's a little bit like, there's some people build by recruiting at the kitchen table, and some people build by using the business overview. Now, many people end up navigating themselves towards the kitchen table because it's easier. All right, and this is what I've learned, is that when you build at the kitchen table, it's so easy to sign up an IBA, right? Because they're motivated at that point. You've been talking to them about their goals and dreams, and you get their top 20, you get their referrals and the top 25 lists as a part of that. And now all of a sudden you can start building. But because it's an easy process for them to join and get involved, you don't know if you're working with a winner or not. Whereas when someone has had to take a phone call from you and has had to make a decision to watch a video, and then make a decision to take a phone call, and make a decision to book a follow-up interview, it's harder. You're going to have more fallout, but now you've got someone who is more hungry. I'm not saying don't recruit at the kitchen table. I definitely do that. But what I am saying is you'll never get big by recruiting at the kitchen table, because you're recruiting by addition, 1 + 1 + 1. Whereas when you recruit using a business overview, whether it be live, recorded, or whatever, now you've got people bringing people, and you're creating a culture of volumes of people coming in, and that gets you closer to finding a winner. Arvin Burgos built his business at the kitchen table, but it wasn't until he started getting people to come to a meeting that it took off for him. In fact, it took off for him when a lady called Mel Bagano traveled all the way from Cardiff to London to watch a 1-hour business overview. She then brought what it felt like half of Cardiff with her, every Monday night. And then that's how it kind of took off. And all his vice presidents have come from management exchanges from Mel Bagano. One person explodes your business. And when you do recruit at the kitchen table, the chances are the person you've recruited is not going to be, a winner. That's just a fact. But what they do is they do open up their door to their community, to their lists, and now you've got more volume of people. So it's kind of like one side feeds the other. That feeds more names for you. And then, of course, when you're recruiting in volume, that feeds the number of financial game plans that get done.
Yeah, so the best way to do it is by inviting from the bottom, is what you're saying, Steve, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say you've got to do both. but your focus, if you're looking to build a hierarchy, is through the bomb. Yeah. Yeah, because when you find that person who comes in, you know, it explodes. Like Alan Palmer's got this guy called Pedro who recruited 10 people in his first month. Now Pedro might disappear, but there's 10 people that Alan's now got to work with. So yeah, you can't do, you've got to do both, because you. But if you're going to choose one, do the bomb, because that's what gets volumes of people coming. If you just focus on doing it at the kitchen table, I don't know if, I mean, it could get big, but I've never seen it get big. And even what's interesting is that if you look at the history of A.L. Williams, you know, Art Williams always used to say, "We recruit at the kitchen table." That's how he got the thing going. But they never really got big until Bob Senior came into the company and introduced the business overview or the business opportunity meeting. Yeah, you know, he said, you know, he used to have, Kevin will remember this, he used to have a script where, you know, you would, you know, you'd go through the back door, you know, and I can't even remember it now, so long ago. And that's how they kind of got A.L. Williams going. But it wasn't until Bob arrived that the masses started to join. And that was because they introduced a business opportunity meeting. It's just common sense, isn't it? You know, large volumes of people is going to beat onesies and twosies. Yeah. So what you now have is you have two things going on. You have a trickle of IBAs coming through of people who've come through a filtered process. But you've also got these people that have received a video and haven't watched it, or have watched it and, you know, just fallen off for other reasons. But you've still got those people now on your phone, and now you can drip feed them other bits of information to get their curiosity. So maybe send them the Journey to Financial Freedom book. Maybe send them an invite to the convention, perhaps. You know, maybe send them an invite to a financial freedom course that we've got coming up, thanks to Alex, on May the 8th. Maybe send them an invite to a financial freedom day when we have one of those in the future. And until they send you a message saying, please stop sending me messages, you know, or they block you, then, you know, you've got a database of people there that maybe you called them or you spoke to them, or you sent them the video when they were in a bad mood, and now maybe you'll catch them in a better mood. But don't bombard people, you know, use your common sense to, you know, kind of be careful with the timing, be sensitive. That's the word I'm looking to. Be sensitive to, you know, the timing. And some will, you'll start to build a friendship with and a relationship with. Just amazing. In 10 days, I made 281 calls. I had 121 yeses. All right, we've signed up 4 people so far, and there's a bunch in the diary to come through as well. How many people do you think were rude to me out of the roughly 150 people I spoke to?
2.
You're close, it was 1. And they apologized via the person, which when I had my small group of people from my base shop watching me, that's the bit they were shocked by. They're like, well, they're all being nice and polite to you. I said, well, yeah, that's, most people are. And only 21 people have come back and actually outright said, no, I'm not interested. 21 out of 150. The others are kind of still curious. They're still kind of, well, maybe.
And Steve, I think I agree with you about timing. And Bobby, I want to say thank you so much for this idea, because I think I was speaking to Bobby and he said, oh, I made a list of all the people that said no to me a while back.
Yeah.
And over the week, I think after we talked, we had our meeting, I just went through all my list of people who were invited to the bomb and they didn't do anything. To be fair, Sam has said I should do this from time to time, but was I coachable? No, moving on swiftly. So I finally, one of the guys, he said, oh, I've been expecting your call because, and I actually called you, but you didn't pick. I was like, oh, sweet. I was like, forgive me. So he said, I'm open now. And when can we talk? So that was the guy, Steve, that I asked you to please help me move across, because he said somebody saw me somebody saw me a few years ago. I took off the serious illness cover because it was expensive. My wife just got diagnosed with breast cancer. I went and I looked at my plan and I knocked off 30K of serious illness cover because of price. He said, IT, you don't have any idea how much that money would have changed my life. So he was like, oh, you need to do my financial plan. I said, well, guess what? Let's talk about the business and his join. So Bobby, thank you so much for doing that, because I think I've been speaking to him now for near enough maybe 9 months, and I just kept saying, oh, I'll check in with you in 90 days. I'll check in with you in 90 days. And it just so happened that if everything finally aligned. So I agree with you, Steve, about timing.
Yeah.
I think it's just from what I'm getting from what everybody's saying, and what I've heard before is that so often you can approach phone calls thinking that people aren't going to be interested, but it's being able to change your mindset, isn't it? And go, look, people want to know, people want help, and when you're approaching the phone calls like that, you see things happen.
Yeah, and I think another thing that Roger used to make me do, because he used to say, IT, you're a bit too hard on the phone calls. If someone says no, you move on too quickly. He said, just find out a little bit about them. And this guy happens to be in the freight business, so he sends things to Nigeria, but he's based in Aberdeen. I'm in Manchester. And I just said, if I ever meet anybody that wants to send stuff from Aberdeen, I'll make sure you're my person. And he will send me messages and I'll just acknowledge to say, thank you. I haven't found anybody yet. So I think that's something that has come over time, because before I used to be, if you say no, get out, delete you off my phone. But I'm finally becoming better. Finally.
Steve, can I give a line that you used to say to me quite a bit? You said, Kevin, don't get aggressive with people, get aggressive with the numbers.
Yep.
Who used to say that?
And he qualified that, like, he didn't mean that I was strangling people over the telephone. He was just, we came from a sales background where, everybody was a prospect, there had to be an outcome, there had to be a result. And it was just, I say to people on the phone all the time now, I say, I promise you that what we show you isn't for everybody. And if it's the right thing at the right time, we're looking, and you can be very kind to people and still say next. In fact, it's the right thing to do. And when you're going through so many people, you'll find the right people at the right time. So volumes is your friend, and that's what Steve meant about getting aggressive with the numbers, I think.
You did. I think the word I used was ruthless, not aggressive. So it's kind of like, don't be ruthless with people, but be ruthless with your activity. Yeah, that's what I'm referring to. So over 10 days, I make 281 calls. That's 28 calls in a 2-hour period. Yeah, so I'm getting ruthless with the numbers I'm calling, because I know there's another Daryl Harper out there, but they're rare. So that forces me to not spend, kind of 15 minutes on a call with one individual. I'll be as polite as I can, and I'm looking for someone who's got those 3 qualities, which is luck, good circumstances, hardworking, and what's the other one? Hungry.
Right.
Yeah, those 3 things is what you're looking for, and you all are experienced enough to know that when you speak to someone, 1, 2, or 3 of those is usually missing at this point in time. Yeah. I mean, when you find someone like Alan Palmer, whose work rate is just, he's got 15 scoops booked in for this week. Yeah. Plus he's down in Chichester for 3 days. So, you know, the guy's a machine. Yeah. I mean, you know, when you find someone like Ching de la Cruz, that, you know, I remember she did a scoop on Christmas Day. I mean, who does that? Apparently it was the only time the client could see it. She went around their house in the afternoon or morning, whenever it was, and did a scoop. I mean, you know, and that lady, Ching de la Cruz, is not the most confident. She's not the most outgoing personality. But, you know, she was MVP 3 years running. She's financially independent now, a couple of times over. She's got more property than I've got. She's got like, you know, over £1 million worth of property. She's just, you know, she's done, she's cooked. 60 years of age and wealthy. You know, so she didn't do it for long. She did it for about 5 years. 5 years of real, you know, real hard work. And now she's benefiting from it.
Did you say how many calls and how long period of time did you say? Did you say 28 calls in a 2-hour period?
Yeah, that's what it works out to, roughly. Yeah, 281 in 10 days is 28 a day, and from 12 till 2. It was 6 days in a row, Tuesday to, and then I had a day off on one day. I don't do Sundays basically. So yeah, and it becomes, you know, the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Because I'll be honest with you, there are some days where I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this. I just don't feel like it. I don't want to do it. I don't feel like it. But what kicks in for me is I've got people waiting on the end of the Zoom call for me to actually do it for them. And I like that because it forces me to do it. It's a little bit like many years ago, I used to be a bit of a runner. You probably can't tell that by looking at me now, but I did run a marathon in 1999. But getting up in the morning and going to run 10 miles, the thought of doing it was horrendous. But when I was out there, I absolutely loved it. And I found that if I had a buddy to go run with, I knew that I was more likely to get out of bed at 6 in the morning and actually go, you know, do the running. Or you'd look outside and say, oh, it looks cold or it's raining. But if I knew my mate was going to be there, obviously, you know, you do it. So it's kind of like a form of accountability. So I forced myself to make the phone calls. And of course, every day I do it, I get better and better. And then what happens is, you know, you get discouraged for a while because you're making all these phone calls and all these people are saying yes, and you send them the video and they obviously don't watch it, but you keep plowing through and you keep plowing through. It's only a matter of time before someone, boom, comes in. And, you know, and then you get little things like happened to me over the weekend. There's this one lady called Shannon who, you know, said, yeah, I'll take a look at it, but I won't have much time to watch it for a couple of days. Are you okay if I send it to my friend Natasha? Because Natasha has got it on Instagram, her whole story of becoming debt-free, and because she's inspired to try and help as many people as possible become debt-free. I said, absolutely, could you send it to her? I'd like to talk to her. And then I get a message over the weekend saying, yeah, I've spoken to Tasha. She wants to chat to you tomorrow. Is that okay? So little things, little breakthroughs like that happen. And I might speak to her and she might say no. But then, you know, I got an interview this afternoon at 4 o'clock and you think this person could be good. And then they let you down, but you've got to keep pushing through. And then eventually you'll find one. And you won't find someone that just comes in and does nothing. You're more likely to find someone that's going to come in and do something. So yeah, it is. It's if you look at the top people in the company, they've all got something in common. They've got this massive work rate. They've got this kind of intensity and urgency. Tom showed a real good example of urgency in his story earlier. Yeah, he didn't go, okay, watch the overview. Yeah, we'll speak next week. No, now. Yeah, take the opportunity, go for it, get it done now. Yeah, urgency is a trait that 80% of people don't have. They do it slowly, and as a result, and success needs speed. Success can't go slowly. Things can build slowly, but that's through intensity of something that's got speed associated with it. The compounding is the slow bit, and then all of a sudden you've got this massive organization. You think, how the heck did that happen? It happened because at the front end there's urgency, there's speed that causes the compounding to start to happen. You don't see. 1 or 2 phone calls a day, it's not going to do it. 1 or 2, sales a week is not going to do it. 1 or 2 of anything doesn't work. You've got to get the numbers working for you. So yeah, I think that's, well, we're at 24 minutes past. Anyone got any questions? We've got 6 minutes left.
Steve, I've got a question, probably more of a favor.
Mm.
Would you be happy if we jumped on one of your Zoom calls to watch you working?
Sure, I haven't got a problem with that.
Great.
I'm down in Chichester on Wednesday and Thursday, so for the steering committee thing, but I'm free today and tomorrow, and probably Friday, as long as Jeff doesn't rope me into anything down there. But definitely Monday and Tuesday, 12 till 2. I can send you the link. You're more than welcome to come on and watch how I do it.
Thank you.
Yep. All you're going to see me do though is just reiterate that script there, one after another, after another, after another. But feel free, because people need to see it, don't they, before they can seize it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even if you only come on for 10 minutes or so to watch, that's okay. Don't have to sit on there for 2 hours. You'll get bored after 2 hours of hearing me say the same old thing. Or get it ingrained in you, whichever way you want to look at it.
Steve, you open up a Zoom to your team, you're actually making the phone calls, but they're hearing and seeing you on Zoom. Is that the way you do it?
Yeah. And this is my mindset. I know that many of those people are kind of going, wow, Steve's going to make those phone calls for me. Yeah, let's give him the whole lot. And they'll never, ever pick up the phone themselves, some of them. But there'll be 1 or 2 on there that'll go, do you know what? I can do this. I'm going to give this a go. And I can already see that happening after doing it for, just about 2 weeks now. That many of them are like, yeah, let's give Steve all these. Now, am I doing anything wrong by that? No, not at all. I'm giving them the opportunity to learn and to kind of take responsibility for themselves at a later date. And I'm also coaching them on to send other things to the people that aren't watching the video yet. Just words of encouragement, perhaps. And other things like that.
So you are referring to the 30 minutes video. Would it be possible to get that video as well, please? Yeah, thank you.
I think you might have it. It's actually
in the group, Milan.
Is it? Sorry. Yeah.
It's Roger doing the business overview. I mean.
Oh, okay. Is that
It's
the
been
one?
posted,
Okay.
Milan, it's been posted in the group.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Steve, can I ask? So, are you inviting everyone on those lists to the bomb? You're not booking scoops or anything?
No, I'm not booking scoops. No. Now that comes from, that 70 to 80% of people who join the business CAS actually purchase a policy with Vitality. So I've never worried about where the premium comes from. Yeah. Now I've got people on my team that are part-time and they do business every now and again. But the big block of business that comes in always comes from recruitment. Recruitment drives the business, and the promotions are actually what's driving the policies and the premium. Because when someone joins, if 10 people join, there's usually 2 people in there that are looking at team leader. That they've actually gone, oh, I need to do 1,500 and get 3 recruits. those 2 people are thinking, right, I've got to get 1,500. So you recruit 10 people, there's £3,000 that'll come from those 10 people, plus the other bits and pieces from the internal consumption, you know, from the people who've joined. And that's how Primerica works. They recruit 30,000 people a month, and they do about 60,000 policies a month. That's how it works. Our business model is exactly the same. It's a lot of heavy lifting doing it the other way around. Yeah, and if I could go back in time and change one thing, there's only one thing in my whole career I would have changed, and that is I would have not built a clientele. Because I loved the financial game plan when I first started, and I was prolific at it. I did loads and loads of them. But the thing is, quite rightly, so I'm not criticizing this, clients demand world-class service from you. And that takes time. And that's why it took me 18 months to go from group leader to vice president. Right? Whereas I went to group leader in 90 days. But of course, while I was going to group leader, I wasn't developing people. I wasn't helping them build their business. So what Bob taught me to do is to focus on the recruitment and don't worry about the money and the premiums. It'll all come from large volumes of recruitment. And of course, what happens from those large volumes of recruitment is you find leadership candidates, people who, you know, kind of want to take more responsibility, you know, and are prepared to step into a leadership role. I don't mean get to team leader, senior team and group leader. I mean take responsibility. And when you find them, it changes your life. Does that answer your question? I can't even remember who asked me the question now. I can't even remember what the question was.
Steve, I just want to ask you a question because what I realized is that over the years in the business, there's been a lot of adaptations.
A lot of what, sorry?
Adaptations to suit the seasons and the times. But you're talking about
Yeah.
the same framework, especially within these times post-COVID, and a lot of, you know, from what we've had so far in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
My question is, are you planning to put this in a package?
Well, yeah, Alan Palmer delivered it last week to you. That was the pattern. We've we recorded that on Saturday, and we've asked the Field Support Centre to edit it and put it as a piece. But there isn't much more than what Alan did last week. That's it, really, on the recruitment side. You've got the whole 9 yards there, and I deliberately got him to do that, because there were pieces that I was still, you know, kind of what's the right kind of bit of detail to do here and there. He's mastered it. So yeah.
Okay.
But you've hit a really good point there, in that within the same framework, we've got to be adaptable. And the bit over the last, what, I would say maybe last 3-4 years, is that, you know, we have to adapt. We have to change and adapt and kind of. There are some fundamentals that will never change, yeah, such as curiosity, trust and friendship, and need, yeah, and ambition. That can't change, because you're talking about human nature. Effectively, all that's changed is how do we deliver our model. Yeah, and of course, Zoom's been the biggest change. Some of you have been around a while. WhatsApp changed our business model, didn't it? All of a sudden, WhatsApp allowed us to have a virtual team. Was prior to that, it had to be a conference call. Do you remember the days when we just had conference calls? It wasn't even a screen. It was just everyone was on a phone listening to people. Yeah, then WhatsApp kind of changed that dynamic. So that's it's just the tools that are changing, and for the better, through technology. And we've just got to adapt to those things. You know, and you can bet your bottom dollar in 10 years' time, it will have changed again in terms of how we all meet. We'll have some sort of virtual room that we all step into as a hologram, probably. I was talking yesterday with my mum, you know, who's in her late 70s, and she kind of said to me, so I said, oh, I've got to do some work just for 10-15 minutes. and she followed me in and started looking at my computer and my desk and stuff. And she said, where's your fax machine? And I said, Mum, we don't do faxes anymore. But don't all of you remember the first fax that you ever saw? I bet every single one of you remembers the first fax that you saw someone's handwriting on a piece of paper coming through a machine. And every single one of you went, wow. And now we laugh at it today. So I'm telling you that because there's going to be something new come out that's going to do the same thing. But remember, the great thing about our business model, I think, is that, you know, when you understand the fundamentals of it, which is basically human nature, the other stuff is kind of like, oh yeah, that fits on very nicely there, whether that be now. I mean, all the video is a more effective way of delivering a presentation that doesn't cost us hundreds of pounds to hire a venue. Yeah, and get on a train and get home late. All those things have been replaced, which I'm very thankful for. I don't know about you. So nothing really changes. Yeah. Kevin's put Alex can't remember fax machines. Yeah. Before my generation. Fair enough. Fair enough. It was back in 1987 when I saw my first fax. So yeah, you're probably just being born then, Alex. Yeah. So, but you know, have a mindset of, I'm going to master this. If you have a mindset like Anna's got, where she's kind of, you know, blown us all away by going, right, I'm going to learn all this stuff. I mean, once you've learned these fundamentals, honestly, it does feel like a licensed aid to print money and also a license to help literally thousands of people. Yeah, I've got 15 claims going on now. I've had 3 more last week coming. 15 people who've either had a serious illness diagnosed or passed away that I'm working with my PA to sort out, you know, the application process and get all that done. I mean, those people, you know, just mean everything to me in terms of, you know, wow, the service we're giving them. You know, it makes you feel good when you wake up in the morning and before you go to bed at night, when you're reflecting on who you are and what you do. I can't think of anything more, you know, socially significant to be involved in. You know, it's amazing. So the more people we get, and genuinely, when I'm making those 200 phone calls, one of the things in the back of my mind is that I'm going to help someone as a result of this phone call. Yeah, because someone's going to buy a policy, someone's going to sort other parts of their finances out. They're going to introduce other people that get their finances sorted out. You know, and therefore more people are going to save money, make money, and become financially independent as a result. It's a great feeling. So there you go. Is that enough for today?
Yes, thank you so very much, Steve. I think in essence, as perhaps someone who hasn't been doing this in the sense that Roger has, the takeaway really is to master that script and just make the phone calls. And that as you do that, everything comes out of it.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%, Anna. Good. Well, let's see how we get on next week. Let's have one more session with me, and then I'm going to line up some other people to because you're going to get bored of me very quickly. So let's next week focus on what you did this week in terms of phone calls. How about me gently pushing you a little bit here? Is that okay? So how about you all make a commitment that you're going to make a certain, why don't we finish off with that? How many phone calls do you think you can make this week? Why don't you put it in the chat? And that's not necessarily your referrals. That could be top 25 list. So obviously Milan's got a minimum of 45 phone calls to make. But how many phone calls can you make this week? So Kevin's put 50 down. Kaz, can you be my admin on this? Is Kaz still with us? Yes, she is.
Yep, no worries.
Thanks. So Kev can make 50 phone calls this week. Milan's got 126. Bobby's 50. IT's 100.
I mean, I'm having problems here. 1 minute.
Val's 40. $168. 28 a day. 60 for Kevin. Tom. I think we're waiting on Alex. Oh, 61, just to be more than Kevin. Very good. Those two aren't competitive, are they? Is that everybody? Very good. Okay, so break the back of it today, guys. I'll send. So Kaz, if I send you the link, you can then put it in the group. Can you?
Yep.
Yeah, and then everyone's got that. I'll do that now.
Is that for the Zoom?
Yeah, for Zoom from 12 to 2. If you want to come on and have a listen, not a problem. Okay. Oh no, wrong one. Here it is.
Anna, do we need to go through the team training for next Saturday?
Yes, we can do that. Steve doesn't need to stay on for that.
No, I'll be off.
Yeah.
All right, guys. See some of you later on, and see you next week. It'll be good to see everyone hitting those phone call targets. That'd be great. All righty.
Thank you.
Have a great one.
Steve.
Thank
Thanks, sir.
Bye.
Thanks, Steve.
Bye.
Great. So thanks for stepping in. How did the wrap up go on Saturday?
Fab. Milan was awesome.
Milan. Oh, thanks, Milan. So
Welcome.
can you all get the document up? So we've gone through to the end of March. So I think really, rather than using everybody's time here now, can you all see that document?
No.
Can you screen share it or just get me to be the host and I can share it?
So I've got it on Google.
Have you accessed the link before?
As your co-host, do you want to share the link? Beautiful.
I'm just gonna find it. Hang on, I was gonna share it in the WhatsApp group because I can't do it on the chat yet. I need to get WhatsApp on my computer.
Yeah, I haven't seen Kaz yet because I couldn't open it.
Yeah, I'm gonna send it, I'm gonna send it again.
Thanks.
And then Anna can give you permission to view it.
Yeah, okay. So all I think we just need to explain is that on that document, we just need to try, if we can, just to be in communication, and if you can't do a slot, try and get someone to fill it from the team. Let's just wait for Bim and make sure that are you getting there, Bim?
One sec.
I haven't seen yet. Yeah.
I've sent it you directly, babe.
Okay, yeah, it's coming through.
And send it to me as well, Kaz.
Yeah, no worries.
From me as well, please.
Right, I'll put it
Milan.
in the. I'll put it back in the group.
Yeah.
Can I just say this Saturday? I'm gonna have to jump off just before 11, so I'll just make somebody else host. Probably whoever's doing Bob.
So we've got.
I think just looking at the bomb for this week, I think we might need to jig it about a bit because we've got Alex and West doing the bomb.
Alex, football.
Oh, Alex is at football.
No, I don't need to do football this week because Sarah's got no clients. She can take Charlie.
Okay, so we just need to jig it about a bit so that at least it's either like a guy and a girl or like a white person, a black person. So if we do it that way.
What about young and old?
Pardon? Yeah, you just had to bring that in, didn't you? Because the week after is Tom and Bobby. So again, if we just so that just so it's
Did you want to swap Alex and Tom then?
Oh yes, that's perfect.
Okay.
So Tom, are you okay doing bomb this week? You're phenomenal.
You better off having.
Because I was supposed to do it this week, so I swapped with Carl, so I can do it on Saturday.
Okay, so you do it this Saturday.
Yeah, this Saturday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you're better off having Alex do it while he can.
So swap Kevin, Bobby.
Okay.
Yeah, and another thing, please, guys, if you're on bomb and bomb support, please, can you always have like your slides and everything ready so that just God forbid if there's like a disruption on Zoom, it's just there's just a nice flow, because I think that's really important because the internet can cut off at any time and it just gives a nice experience to our guests. That's good. So Alex, Alex is doing bomb this week.
Yeah.
And Tom, you're supporting.
No, Bobby.
Bobby.
Bobby's supporting. And then Tom's doing it next week with Kev Westfield supporting.
That's good.
Alex has changed it.
That's good. So Alex, you're okay communicating with Bobby to just let him know that he's doing support. He needs to be on his laptop with the slides and everything ready so that if there's a disruption, there's just a nice flow, please.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, darling. Oh, that's good. That's amazing. It's looking good.
Okay, so everybody okay with that for the to the end of March, and then I think we'll try and do a month worth for April as well. So I think only what you've just said, IT, about making sure that the bomb support's got the slides
ready.
Yeah, is there anything else anybody can think of that needs to be? Are we okay with the topics?
Tom, you're leading the main session.
What date are you talking about?
Saturday.
This Saturday, the 19th.
What other date are we talking about?
Tom, you're on the main session.
It says Steam KTP new recruits. So it's Steam leads and getting your Steam leads, I think. Is that right?
Okay.
Is this getting Steam at KT or Steam from new recruits?
I think it's both. How to get more Steam leads.
In all areas.
It'd be good to change the title then, wouldn't it?
Or just to Steam leads.
Well, thank you for pre-populating the thingy. It looks really good. Yikes, I'm doing wrap up. Oh man. Why, please, can we just put Milan on wrap up? That's amazing. Milan, how do I follow your wrap up? You've got to learn before you earn.
Honestly, when are we going to do the book and Milan quote? Seriously.
Exactly. No, we need to smiling and dialing. Cool. Okay.
I think we're all good there. Are we? Yep, all good.
Tom, are you okay with the main session for that?
That's good.
Thanks, team. Well done, everybody.
No problem. Kevin O'Malley is back. He's looking better and better. Corona can't stop you. Corona can't stop you.
Well done, Kevin. Yeah.
Honestly, thank you so much, guys. That looks really good. We've got work to do. Yeah. I best go make these phone calls, isn't it? Going to. What was I thinking when I committed to 100? Oh, Jesus.
Pick up the phones.
I must have been high on Kenko at that time.
How many is it in total?
Right, let me have a quick add up then. I didn't do that bit.
That's right. I thought you were doing it.
And we're going to do it after, but it'll take 2 minutes, won't it? So I've got it all wrote down.
Awesome.
See,
I've got to love you all and leave you.
Good
I'll
night.
see you later. Bye, guys.
Have a good one. Bye.
Well, soon. Bye for now.